Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into something that's honestly one of the most fascinating and kind of counterintuitive corners of the internet. We're decoding the psychology and structure of the YouTube reaction economy. It's a massive, highly organized subculture, and by the end of this explainer, you're going to see exactly how it works, why our brains are literally wired to crave it, and who the specific creators are that make the whole thing tick. Okay, let's dive right into this. It's a pretty wild mystery when you stop and think about it. If you aren't super familiar with this side of YouTube, music reaction videos might seem completely redundant. I mean, why would you spend 10 minutes watching a stranger experience a song instead of just listening to the song yourself? Why is watching someone else react to a classic rock track from 4 decades ago a massive, globally dominating online phenomenon? It seems bizarre at first, but the answer goes incredibly deep into our own biology. Here's our mental roadmap for this explainer. First, the anatomy of reactor bait. Second, the science of the proxy listen. Third, the 4 reactor archetypes. Fourth, the copyright tightrope. And finally, the digital welcome wagon. All right, part 1, the anatomy of reactor bait. To really wrap our heads around this, we need the ultimate case study, the perfect piece of what we call reactor bait. And honestly, there is no better example in the entire genre than Dire Straits' 1983 live performance of Sultans of Swing from their Alchemy album. This specific 10-minute and 47-second track is the gold standard we're going to use to decode this whole industry. Just think about that number for a second. 274 million views on the official Vevo upload alone. That's enough to prove this isn't some tiny, niche hobby. It's a highly successful subculture. But all those millions of views, they aren't just about the music. They're built on collective empathy. When you watch a reaction to this, you become part of this massive, invisible crowd, sharing a vicarious experience. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why this specific live performance is the absolute perfect catalyst for reactors. The song has this frantic, galloping tempo, just relentlessly driven by the drums. Mark Knopfler is up there in a red blazer and a headband, finger-picking his guitar with literally inhuman speed. At 4:50, boom, he hits this blistering first solo. Then, at the 6-minute mark, a second solo builds from these sparse, teasing licks. The tempo gets faster, the tension is building, the energy is totally infectious, until 8 minutes in, he hits this furious multi-finger cascading run of arpeggios that just explodes into a stadium-shaking finale. It provides this massive, undeniable narrative arc and a visual spectacle that literally forces a visceral reaction out of anyone watching.
Moving on to part 2, the science of the proxy listen.
So when you sit down to watch a reactor, you aren't just killing time, you're actually hacking your own biology. This right here is the engine of the reaction economy, mirror neurons. Discovered in the 90s, these are specialized cells in our brains evolutionarily wired for shared experience. Think about it like this. It's the exact same reason you physically wince when you see someone else brutally stub their toe. Your brain automatically mirrors their experience. These neurons fire when you do something, but they also fire when you watch someone else do that exact same thing. So when we see a creator's eyes widen or their jaw physically drop when Mark Knopfler's fingers blur across the fretboard, our mirror neurons fire. They literally replicate that exact physical and emotional state inside of us. So the crucial point here is that this allows us to bypass habituation. If you've listened to Sultans of Swing 500 times over the last 40 years, your brain's dopamine response has naturally habituated. You still love the track, obviously, but it doesn't surprise you anymore. But by routing that beloved song through the fresh, uninitiated ears of a first-time reactor, you bypass your own dopamine habituation. You get to experience that initial intoxicating rush of discovery all over again, by proxy. The old literally becomes new again.
All right, part 3, the 4 reactor archetypes.
If the audience has these deep-seated biological needs for connection and discovery, who exactly is fulfilling them? As our source material beautifully points out, these creators aren't just churning out uniform copy-paste content. They are a diverse ecosystem, quote, each serving a different psychological need for the audience. The reaction industry provides totally different kinds of value depending entirely on who is sitting in that chair. Now, what's really interesting about this ecosystem is that creators generally fall into 4 distinct categories when they tackle a legendary performance like Alchemy Live. First up, we have the neophyte, whose main hook is the thrill of a first-time listen to an older classic. Second is the educator, bringing professional, clinical analysis of the music theory. Third is the dual energy couple, bringing social interaction and the vibe of a shared hangout. And finally, we have the silent aesthete, who brings pure, unspoken, raw emotion. These 4 pillars pretty much make up the bulk of the reaction economy. Let's look a little closer at how these different approaches actually work. Let's start with a really fun comparison. On one side, we have the neophyte, usually a younger creator, Gen Z or millennial, often coming from a hip-hop or pop background, hearing a classic rock song for the very first time. They offer pure, unvarnished emotional discovery. For legacy fans watching, this provides what we call secondary nostalgia, and honestly, it validates their musical taste. But on the flip side, we have the educator. This is your professional guitar teacher or vocal coach. They aren't just reacting, they're literally pausing the video to explain rhythmic syncopation, compression, or fingerstyle technique. Imagine the tension of a song building up, the drums rolling, and right before the massive beat drops, boom, they hit pause to explain a complex chord progression. They act as expert translators, turning a passive listen into a highly analytical technical masterclass.
Then we have our second pairing, and the energy dynamic here is totally different. The dual energy couple is fast-paced, bouncy, highly interactive. It's often romantic partners or best friends, just bouncing high energy off one another, excitedly competing to catch cool musical details in real time. It feels exactly like hanging out in a living room with your buddies. It provides a simulated community and fulfills our evolutionary desire to share awe with others. Conversely, we have the silent aesthete, and here everything just slows down. There are no abrupt mid-song pauses, no flashy, loud commentary. Just a quiet, authentic capture of a creator welling up with tears, or simply shaking their head in disbelief at the sheer talent on display. In a super loud, highly performative internet landscape, the silent aesthete provides the ultimate, unperformative vibe check.
Section 4. The Copyright Tightrope.
Let's move to the business side and see how this builds a pretty intense reality for these creators. While they're providing massive emotional and educational value, they are operating a business built entirely on borrowed intellectual property. They do not own the music. This means every single archetype we just talked about has to navigate a highly volatile legal minefield just to survive. YouTube's automated content ID bots scan everything. If they just sit there and play the song, their ad revenue is claimed, or worse, the video gets globally blocked and their channel gets a strike. So they have to deploy these highly specialized mechanical tactics. The audio chop involves cutting out half-second fragments of the song to disrupt algorithmic pattern matching. Pitch and speed shifting involves micro-adjusting the audio so bots can't recognize it. The talkover is exactly what it sounds like, loudly speaking over crucial hooks to mathematically mask the track. And finally, strategic pausing every 45 seconds to try and place the video safely under the legal umbrella of fair use. But here's the thing, maintaining fair use is incredibly difficult. Plus, those aggressive bypass techniques make for a pretty choppy, frustrating viewing experience. So creators adopt. They use these highly edited, censored YouTube videos basically as a top-of-funnel marketing tool. The ultimate goal? Drive their most dedicated viewers to a subscription platform like Patreon. Over there, shielded from YouTube's automated copyright bots, they can offer the full, unedited, uninterrupted reaction. It's not just a smart business strategy, it's literally a necessary evolution for survival, creating a safe haven where this specific digital culture can exist uncompromised.
And finally, Section 5. The Digital Welcome Wagon.
We've talked about the creators, the biology, and the business. But now we arrive at what I honestly think is the absolute most wholesome and surprising climax of this entire explainer: the community that forms down in the comment sections. On most of the internet, comment sections are toxic, polarized battlegrounds. We all know that. But in the reaction economy, the toxicity completely vanishes. It's replaced by this incredible digital welcome wagon. I mean, listen to this actual comment from a legacy fan. "Welcome to the family, kid. I was 18 when this came out. Now do yourself a favor and react to Telegraph Road next." Instead of elitism or gatekeeping, you have older generations eagerly and warmly passing down their cultural inheritance to a brand new audience. Age differences just melt away under the warmth of shared musical reverence.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on. Think about a 1983 live performance by Mark Knopfler, standing on a stage in London. Decades later, that single performance is sustaining a global economy of modern online creators across 4 distinct archetypes. It is hacking our biology to make the old feel completely new again. And most importantly, it's bridging massive digital and generational divides. It really makes you wonder, if a single red guitar and 5 bare fingers can create this kind of timeless digital alchemy, what else are we capable of connecting over? Keep exploring, everyone. See you next time.